All right. My camera is just not quite as good over here on YouTube. That's okay. That's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there as we wait for everybody to pop in. Hi, hello. Hi, guys. Hi. Thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for joining me on the first iteration of a open channel situation. Who knows what's gonna come through today. Usually when I jump on live, I focus on readings, but I wanted to have like a little bit more of a Q&A collective experience, you know, where you guys could just yap it out with me. Um mhm. So I'm live here on the YouTube and also on TikTok, but it's going to be saved on YouTube because TikTok is funny. Hi guys. All right. So topics you guys wanted to cover in tonight's live. New Earth shift and what that like actually means versus a lot of the rhetoric that's going on right now in the spiritual communities. I love talking about this because it makes me want to like claw my own eyeballs out. Hi guys. So we're gonna talk about that. What does New Earth mean? What does that look like? Somebody else requested that I take a peek at the timelines and see, is the grid gonna go down in July? I did have a um, kind of psychic ping this time last year that I needed to prep for that potential outcome. But timelines change, right? So who knows? And then, yeah, I'm happy to answer any kind of questions and channel a message, anything that comes through. So we'll keep it going as long as it's interactive and fun for you guys. And then when it gets stale, we'll call it, right? It's a two-way experience. So diving into New Earth stuff, first and foremost. New Earth is, hey Robert, not a physical place that is different from where you are currently. It is a mindset. That's it. And as our internal realities start shifting, our external realities start shifting. Here, I'm going to post this way so I can see both you guys chatting at me. I hate this concept of like there's 144 and they're chosen people and other people can't come with and all the it's like it's just like it's BS. It really, really is. It's just total BS. Um, and the other thing that I think is like it's totally gatekeeping, right? It's totally gatekeeping. It's creating more division, which I don't think is helpful at this point of the game, right? There's enough of that already going on. It's also giving the vibes of like basic bay religious heaven and hell. Like, why are we doing that? I feel like most people opted out of traditional religious constructs because of that concept exactly. So, if you're trying to position yourself as special and unique, and yes, we're all like unique and special in the grand scheme of things, right? But come on. It's like, it's so ridiculous. And nothing that I've channeled, nothing that I've seen psychically is like we're gonna suddenly ascend. That's another word I hate hearing. Oh, and this like ascension process. I love more the term expansion because that's really what's happening. Your consciousness and your awareness is expanding to hold more. Yeah, and again, it is. It's a self-limiting belief system. "Oh, I have to ascend. Oh, I need to participate in certain types of spiritual practices in order to, like, become more awakened and move up somehow the spiritual ladder." Like, no. No. It's crazy when I see it. Again, it's you don't have to tap in to any one belief system or the other. You don't need to be living your life in a particular way according to a guru. You don't have to be vegan. You don't have to be like drug free, whatever it is that is your like hard set belief system or any of these like hard set structures that are coming up from this place of the current paradigms in spirituality, you don't have to do anything you want to be able to tap into your own expansion, your own awareness, your abilities, your cosmic perception other than to be able to expand and open up and be more open to receive. Now, there are things that are going to be more helpful to your physical and your mental that would support that. Does that mean being a, like, total lazy piece of shit every day and, like, not supporting your physical body, not moving, not eating in the best way for your body, for your system? Does that mean, like, if you're drinking alcohol all the time or partaking in substances and you feel like crud every day, that you should still be doing those things? No. Here's another big one. If you are participating in watching news and content that is constantly stirring you up and creating anxiety, division of emotions, and it's you find yourself, like, really disrupted, that's another one of those, like, is that serving you to participate, right? And I'm not saying look away when there are awful things happening because I wanna talk about that too. Um, it's not all love and light. This expansion process is just not love and light. Dare I say that the majority of you guys that had a spiritual awakening did not enter into that concept through a loving dynamic, right? Exactly. All things that leave you drained. Um, it's just kind of best to set boundaries with it, and that's gonna support your expansion as you move through, um, your spiritual awakening. So, what does, like, that really, really mean? Is so if New Earth isn't a physical place that we're gonna move from here to there, like, it's just not possible, like, the science is not there, we are all in a physical body. Now, if we were all in light bodies, I would say that's totally something different, but we're not, we're all in a physical body at this moment. Hi, guys, we're live over on YouTube as well. Again, it's going to be when your inner world shifts, your outer world is going to shift. So, all of these different levels and variations of Earth are happening right here at the same time. All of it, all at once. People that are living the worst day of their life simultaneously are right next to people that are having the best day of their life. Two experiences happening at the same time, people living in absolute different realities. We see it all day long on social media as we scroll. We don't even realize that that's what's happening. That's why it's really important to choose your energetic frequency, your awareness. It's like choose wisely because again, we know our thoughts create our realities. Absolutely, starting with the expansion of self-awareness. So, what is Kundalini awakening? Kundalini awakening, from my understanding of it, is an it's it's similar to having a spiritual awakening. It's an energy exchange that moves through your body. A lot of people, say once they have that Kundalini awakening that they then experience an uptick in psychic gifts. Another version of a spiritual awakening, right? It's all these, like, spiritual awakenings are just packaged differently, either from different theologies or different methodologies of how to tap in to essentially this outer quantum field of information. That's all that stuff is. The term "there's more than one way to skin a cat" comes to mind, right? Raised in the South. That's like the ism, right? There's more than one way to get there. So, as I say that, there's also more than one way to move from this 3D to 5D. And the biggest shifts, again, your internal world are gonna shape your outer world. Your realities are gonna start to shift. There's a lot of you right now that are moving timelines very rapidly. So what does it mean to move a timeline? It means shifting a reality in the physical. Job collapse, relationship collapse, where you're living, you're suddenly feeling like a really big shift to enter into a new phase of life. And that phase of life is 100% going to resonate with your inner world more so that your outer world also reflects this. Huge change. So now that you're integrating the 2, that's one more step in the expansion process, in the, like, moving to the 5D, because now you're moving into more of your authentic self, more of being in alignment for what feels good for you. Those of you that are out of alignment when we're talking about this, you know it. You feel it. Nothing's working. You feel like crap. Sometimes you don't have all the tools at your disposal to understand how to make those shifts, but ultimately that's what's going on. And the more that we're shifting into quote unquote new earth, the more that you are in alignment, the more you're going to find places of ease. Now, does this mean that it's always going to be easy? No, that's not realistic. And we also learn a lot from challenges. But how you face these challenges, again, all about mindset. So, that's kind of like the layers, but it's all there. Ascension and expansion is not a straight path up. There are plateaus and dips along the way. Absolutely. Questions over here in the chat. Living light carries the external core. We are bridged. Breathe it in. Yeah. It is a shared frequency. Exactly. And those of you that are on one frequency are going to be met with those people that are vibrating or residing also at that frequency. And that is also going to shift your experience. People that aren't vibing with you anymore aren't going to be in your experience. You see it happen all day long. So I don't know. I'm like, I hate this, like, the ascension and the 144 and the battle of good and evil. Okay, so here's like something else. Nobody likes to hear this. Nobody likes to hear this. Good and evil doesn't really exist in the way that you think it does. Both are necessary. Both are important. Both serve a purpose. The people that are quote unquote evil think that they're in the right. The people that are good could be perceived from the other side as the people that are evil. Light and dark. This was said so perfectly. Actually, Jen J.K. Ultra said this, and it came from another book, but it's the perfect way to explain this. Light and dark, good and bad, are two ends of the spectrum of the same unit of measurement, both along the same line, both serve a purpose. And so when we get into these like really divisive places of my side, you're right, you're wrong, not always helpful. It's not always helpful. And it just creates a lot more division amongst each other. Now, I am human. I am limited by my ego. And I also the love and light without the ability to hold people accountable for their actions on this planet, I have a real hard time with, because I don't think any true physical change and structure within society can happen until we face some of the darkest, most disturbing parts of ourselves and others and figure out a way forward, right? And I think what's really hard for us to accept as people. Okay, so this is like a personal struggle. This is interesting that this is coming up because this has been coming up for me this week as too. It really creates this like cognitive dissonance of like, I'm not that way, so how can somebody else be that way? So I don't really know how to like rectify the two. So how do we really create solutions where people aren't harming people? So that's like a really hard one to face. And personally, this is like a topic for another day, but I've been struggling with that in a big, big way this week. I was faced with some information around a certain situation, and somebody that I knew that was very young was getting placed inside of a pattern, a loop that I had just experienced. and it was, like, really difficult for me to watch. But through sharing my story of what had happened to me in my experience, it helped this person shift their perspective and hopefully exit their own loop. But it is hard to understand those experiences. If you wanna start with the world, you gotta start with the man in the mirror. Yeah, it's not an easy one. It's not an easy one. I don't have all the answers. We probably all won't have all the answers, but living in this fantas fantastic delusion that we're all gonna somehow be taken on board a spaceship and all our problems and worries are gonna go away without really facing the struggles that humanity is currently in the throes of, I don't think it's gonna get us there. So that's kind of like the other part of the spiritual love and light, new earth rhetoric that I also am just like not a fan of. But we also, we're all here. We're all here. We're all people. We're just doing what we can. Why would we want to be taking away from struggle? Struggle is where growth is. Absolutely, struggle is where growth is. And it all serves its purpose. But I think as we begin to evolve as a society at large, there are certain struggles that don't need to really be happening anymore, right? I like there's always going to be struggle. That's like the nature of this planet. But I think, protecting innocent people and creatures and, you know, m- some type of like as close to we can utopia, you know, would be beneficial to us as people. Clean water, clean air, right? Those kinds of things. But again, we can't ever get there without having difficult conversations. Yes, I love that. Being able to focus on your own world and what you can effect and change locally, absolutely, is like a great place to start. And it has a ripple effect outward. It really, really does. It really, really does. Through low vibrations, there have been many unnecessary struggles that have resulted in challenges. Yeah, I also don't like using low vibration anymore either. I've been changing it up to dense vibrations. Um, it's just something that I'm trying to do with myself because then it takes me out of that headspace again of like good and bad. Lower vibrations tend to be more dense, right? Vibrations. They're stickier, harder to move through. It's a different dimension. So I've been like trying to like change up my own wording, which seems to like shift my perspective recently. Um, Something you guys may want to like try as well. So, okay, so what is a lower vibration? For instance, we're all like in the 3D. That is a lower vibrational state, right? How frequency moves. A lower, more a lower, more dense vibrational state here, right? That's how we're in this physical form. Now, when you start talking about light body beings and in the astral world, et cetera, and we're expanding, moving outward, light travels at a very quick pace, right? These are faster frequencies, lighter vibrational fields of resonance. So, just two different experiences, right? Every experience serves its purpose, and we get to experience all of them. If we are source experiencing itself, we get to experience it all. There is that is the purpose. So, I've been doing that. I've been, trying to, like, catch myself when I say lower vibration into dense. Try it, see what happens, you know? Um, thoughts, questions? Yeah, Earth is definitely a dense dense vibration, um, to serve the purpose, right? But as which kind of loops into the next thing about stuff that I've channeled about Earth, as Earth goes through her own expansion and changes, that is also going to change. Can we send positive thoughts to our higher self, thus positively tapping into a higher frequency? Yes. You know that water study, right? Where they taped water and then froze it. One said love, one said hate, right? The vibrations of those words and how it shifted the molecular structure of water itself. Yes, that happens. Of course. But again, it's not realistic to listen, if you can be in a state of love all day long, congratulations. You're either in Delulu or you have reached nirvana. But I wanna, like, respect the fact that it's not always gonna be possible to be in that state of love, which is a very high vibrational state, very powerful, right? We are still human beings, and that other emotions do serve their purpose. So you're going to yo-yo a lot, all day long. So, anywho, um, what do I think time is? I haven't really thought that much about time because from what I've channeled and other things that I've read, our understanding of time is like so kindergarten studies in the grand scheme of things, right? Because all time is now, everything's happening at once, and we just can't perceive it that way. We wouldn't be able to function that way. We wouldn't be able to function on a singular timeline in this human experience. I think if we really felt all of that, right? That's kind of like part of the veil experience is to be able to like hone in and focus on stuff. But then if we understand that all time is now and everything's happening at once, well, then all your lessons have already happened. All the things that you already want have already happened. So it's just figuring out how to like tap into that, right? Which is cool, right? Cool, overwhelming, confusing. So, how do we stay more in alignment? By really going within, because everything that you ultimately need and want, you have access to within yourself. So, that's why I talk so much about accessing your higher dimensional insights for yourself. I love channeling. I love being able to, like, share information with you guys, but ultimately, when you can do this yourself and you understand what is innately your truth and what resonates for you and what feels good for you, that's how you're gonna stay most in alignment. And it's an ongoing evolving process, always. Like, you're always gonna be, like, shifting and moving through things. So, there is that, right? The timelines are not stable. Um, Good questions, guys. Good questions. So, which brings me to talking about earth shifts, which you guys have requested, and the potentiality of the grid. So, first off, let's talk about earth shifts. From what I have channeled from Gaia herself, and you can go back and watch some of my saved videos here on YouTube from when I first started channeling. The earth is going to continue to have storms, earthquakes, a restructuring as she grows and expands and readjusts. So, just as we are expanding, again, our consciousness and our vibrational frequency is shifting, so is hers because she is a vibrational conscious being. So, imagine a star, right? Not our star, the sun, another star. And what happens as that star grows larger and larger and larger and then eventually, like, explodes, and then we see it from, like, a million light years away, and we've never seen the explosion, but, like, it went through a whole process. Our planet's doing the same thing. Not that it's gonna explode. I have not seen that information, nobody panic. Um, but it is a conscious it is a conscious energy, right? So, it collapses, yeah. Um And her energy is to kind of hold all of us here together, which is why it's important to be able to like work in tandem with her. And the more in flow with nature, the more we pay attention to the signs of nature, the less stressful this is going to be for us as humans. Am I seeing a societal collapse? No. I am seeing stuff that looks like situations of major disruption, right? Big flooding that, like, takes out, like, a whole town, and then the whole town has to go, "Oh, we gotta shift our borders." Or, like, earthquakes that happen, and maybe, like, a city gets, like, messed up pretty badly, but it creates different foundational bases. Like, maybe they don't build on that fault line anymore, or maybe they reinforce their structural systems. So I'm seeing more stuff like that. I am not seeing what is that movie? It comes up on Amazon every so often, and it's like a doomsday, like, world over kind of thing. Landmass shift, I have not seen a landmass shift. I'm not seeing, like, a sudden landmass shift. Will that eventually happen? Yeah, the land is moving all the time, ever so slowly. So as I channel light beings, can one channel the Earth's energy? Yes, and I do all the time. Um, very often when I go through a process that I teach you guys as well when you work with me in mentorship, but part of my process is connecting my grounding cord into the earth. At that point, I'm always like, "Open for messages. Guy, do you got something for me?" And sometimes she does. She tells me all the time she loves working with our energy, she loves us grounding within her, and as much as, like, we think it's a one-way experience, it's a very two-way thing. We can send Gaia love, and she sends love back. Sh she can send us support, we can send support back, right? It's like a two-way battery charging system, which is really interesting. Anything that is sentient and has a consciousness, right, can communicate with you, essentially, if you so choose. You feel like trees nearby talk, so they speak when you're near them. Yeah, the trees talk, the flowers talk. Um, I don't really participate in the plant medicines, but it's been a lot of years. But, the magic fungi, every so often when I used to, I would sit down and go and hang out with the trees and watch the trees breathe. My friends used to make so much fun of me, right? And I'd be like, "No, I'm gonna sit and just talk to the trees and watch them breathe." This is well before I had any type of, like, channeling communing with nature situation. 'Cause yeah, they do. Things are alive. Um, but yeah. The biggest prediction that I have in regards to the Earth is that the Ring of Fire is gonna, like, kinda pop off, kinda big time. It's part of the shift. It's just, like, it's part of it, you know? The mycelium network living soul resonance, yes. And that's kind of how the living light explained themselves to me as well in the beginning. Like, they were like the threads of the universe of how things are connected. Like, all this is, like, interconnected kind of thing. It was very interesting. I sound like a PhD friend of yours that works with the Ring of Fire. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a scientist. I can't tell you my justification for it, only what I've been shown psychically and via channel. What exactly is Earth transitioning to? That's a really good question. Let's ask. Let's ask. Let's see if I get an answer. Give me a second. Hmm. I am transitioning just as you are transitioning. I am ever evolving and expanding, mm, in similar ways as you. Expansion continues, hmm, until it cannot continue anymore. Mm. Similar to a star, however, in cycles of what can be held on each planet. There are cycles that have been of water, of gas, of earth, of different entities, energies, species. Each is an expansion, a cycle of new energy, new information, and these cycles continue. Hmm. Just as you are going to continue through your own evolutionary process. Okay, thank you. Hmm. Interesting. So less like a star, right? And more cyclical. Interesting. Do I have tips on how to be more in flow and have no expectations? Ooh, that's a practice. That is a practice. Sounds like Earth is going through a cycle and we need to keep up. Sounds like it, right? What an interesting message. Huh, what an interesting way to think about that, right? Like, what does happen to the Earth? Eons and eons and eons of cycles. Each one, like, she was kind of showing me the beginnings of Earth and what Earth looked like then, and then, like, each shift and change on the planet and how the planet has looked so very different. There's been so many different versions of species on this planet, each one equally as important as the last. And here's the thing about time. If all time is now and it's all happening at once, that means it's all still here happening. It's already happened, right? In theory, we're living on top of a timeline on this planet where dinosaurs are existing with us. So, how interesting. Um, Somebody has a question. You just came back from Egypt and you wonder if the pyramids are activated by us, and definitely activated by us as we definitely got activated by it. I think everybody's different. Definitely, I would say go watch my last live from last week where I talked about my experience in Egypt. Um, I would say since I've been home from Egypt, my psychic, like clairvoyant stuff has been very, very active. I haven't noticed an difference in my channeling, but oftentimes, it takes a while to integrate things. So who knows? Um, okay. What was the other thing we wanted to chat about? What's happening? Is the grid gonna go out in July? So when I looked into this last year, I got something that was more about the grid or some type of impactful event late summer, early fall. Let's see. Let's ask. Let me ask the living light, since they're my favorite to kind of like talk, give me the info about timelines and see what they have to say. Give me a minute. I will just call them in. The timeline that you are making mention of is, of course, still in play and an available experience to you. Mm. It does have the potential to be disruptive, but a disruption of that magnitude would also cause a disruption in those that need to be jolted out of their own mm, loops. The experience at large does not have to be necessarily an unpleasant one. Nothing is currently solidified for you now. We bring you back to the reminder that your awareness and what you focus on, your belief systems are more important for you now than ever before. Many of you are certain that World War III is going to happen on your planet. And while, yes, in a timeline that is an available experience, there is also the available experience that more of you in the physical begin to make choices to not engage with that version of timeline and events. As you were discussing, taking accountability, there is going to come a point in your particular awareness in some of these timelines where you are going to choose as a whole, which sounds like something rather fantastical, but you will collectively choose the next experience. The two that are most in flux are pulling belief systems away, changing of leadership, coming together, having the veil lifted from your eyes in regards to how your societies are structured. This will require deep healing within each of you and each other to come together for this experience. But this does shift many experiences on your planet. There is also the timeline, less so than before, of continuing the same loops, the same patterns, the same division, and nothing really changes. Until Earth decides to change things. And in that timeline, the outcomes feel more severe, but change comes either way. Okay, thank you. Okie dokie. So it seems like nothing's like many things, nothing's like really set in stone. Anything and everything. You wanna be in the open contact timeline when we get to be with the aliens. So, I've talked a lot about this too, and maybe we'll save this for, next week's live where we can talk about what open contact looks like, but open contact's gonna be very personal. They're prepping for it now. This is why you're seeing more talk about aliens and interdimensional species. But I want to really, really lead with the term interdimensional, right? So I think I'm gonna leave it with that because I would love to talk about the the alien contact timeline, and I could spend a whole hour doing that. So maybe we do that next week. You really think there should be a signpost that these timeline branches off? Yeah, they do. There's endless amounts of possibilities. Endless, endless. So 5 star. Oh, that was too general for you. Well, here's the thing about channeling. Um, we are captains of our own ships, and when it comes to channeled information, sometimes you get a direct answer. Sometimes you're not ready for the answer. You know? Sometimes it can feel very general until it's not. So, could the grid go down in July, late summer to early fall? Yeah, it could. Does that mean you should panic? Is it a certainty? No, nothing in life is a certainty. Do you feel better being prepared? Go for it. I live in California. Like, the multitude of catastrophes that could happen here at any given day, you know? So, it's like kind of choose what you do with the information. All right, guys. That was fun. That was cool. Thanks for hanging out over on TikTok and YouTube. I'm going to save the live on YouTube for those of you that didn't get to catch it. And yeah, next week we'll dive into open contact, what that means, what that really looks like, and that kind of timeline. Um, for those of you that want to work with me one-on-one in any capacity, channeled guidance, mentorship, teaching you how to unlock and tap into your gifts. And then also Quantum Soul Journeys, which is a Dolores Cannon style QHHT experience where we explore your own timelines and what that means for you. So, all right, guys. I'll yap at you later. If you have any questions, you can always send me an email, a comment, a DM.